dozens of your colleagues signed a letter saying that the president must, quote, take this exam because of mental decline and forgetfulness that has become more apparent over the past 2 years. Then you cite the Alzheimer's Association, which points out that, quote, confusion with time and place are one of the 10 primary signs and symptoms of mental decline. The left has called this a partisan issue from the start. You are a doctor. Is it?
No, Rob, it's not. Actually, it's a very, very bipartisan issue. The president is the leader of the country. He's the commander in chief. And having the trust of the American people and people believe that he is mentally fit to do his duties should be important to every single American. You know, the progressive left clamored and screamed until Trump took a test. He took it and passed and apparently did very, very well. It is not unreasonable, given the gaffes that President Biden has made, you know, when he comes and whispers into a crowd or does some of the other things, which are really bizarre behavior, to say, hey, just put this on the line and let us know what's going on. It's not unreasonable at all.
You know, I had two grandfathers who had Alzheimer's, and I saw this on Twitter not long ago. Basically, it was, would you let Joe Biden watch your kids? Would you let Joe Biden babysit your kids? I'm not being mean or cruel in saying this. You know, I've got two little kids. They're not, you know, in their teens. They're 5 and 3. The answer is no. I would not trust Joe Biden to watch my kids because I'm using what I see as evidence. And based on that, the answer is no. And I think a lot of the American people feel that way. A poll came out in October. 48% of the American population disagreed with the statement that Joe Biden is mentally fit for office. What's the administration going to do? Will they address this?
Well, no, Rob, I don't think they do. This is entirely what this administration has done since day one is deflect, deflect, deflect. I mean, look at our border. Look at all the other crises going in the country. And amazingly, Jen Psaki, I've said this before, has the hardest job in the whole world because she gets up and has to lie every day about the insanity that's going on in the country caused by this party. You know, it's not unreasonable. The man is, 80 years old to understand that there very well could be some mental decline. Right. But Rob, just think about this. This is the most important job in the world, And it should be in every American's interest to make sure that the commander in chief is there completely and knows what he's doing, whether we agree with it or not.
Let me ask you a question. A lot of people have been with the president, in the same room with the president, foreign leaders, Vladimir Putin among that group. Why hasn't anybody come out and called this out? Why hasn't somebody come out? Is there a secret in Washington, maybe for national security reasons? Not. Why hasn't somebody come out and said, listen, I was in the room with him for 40 minutes and he didn't know where he was for a minute or he forgot what to, why hasn't that come out yet, 14 months in?
Well, I can't speak to that, Rob, having not been in the room with him, but I'm sure there is somewhat of a secret envelope that people don't want to come out and speak about things.
Right.
You know, this is not, I mean, if he's there, great. Let us all know it. Let us actually feel trust in the country that he is all there. But there have been so many signs that he's not. Take the test just like Trump did. Why is that a partisan issue?
Why? What sort of questions are on these cognitive exams?
A lot of them have to do with memory. Memory, not only present memory, but the ability to recall something 5, 10, 15 minutes later. Because we know, as a lot of folks get older and there has to be some issues with dementia, short-term memory is affected much more than long-term memory.
Right.
And so it's the ability to understand that. They're not hugely complex problems. This isn't a physics test like I used to take back in college. It is memory things that say, hey, are you able to calculate some things short order? Are you able to remember something 10, 15 minutes later?
Yeah, that's what Ronnie Jackson said. He said it's not like it's the Series 7 or something. You can get this exam done in less than a half an hour. I want to talk to you quickly about the mask madness. In the last 72 hours, literally since Monday, 10 states have reversed course on masks. Not everyone in school, but at least the mandates when you're out in public and businesses and whatnot. 9 of those 10 states have Republican governors. The other is Massachusetts. Do you think there's a political angle to this?
Yeah, I think that the Democrats are seeing the sky is falling on them, and they realize that they have to start trying to do something to reverse the trend. As a physician, I wish I could say masks change things. Perhaps they delayed the inevitable in some regards. Maybe the N95s decrease things by about 6%. But we know that these paper masks, we know that these cloth masks do absolutely nothing, especially to our children, causing acne and then causing all the other social issues that have happened. And so, they just need to go away. They become a sign of virtue signaling and no longer And I've said this before, I think these masks are a sign of a failed presidency.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And the American people do. Real Clear Politics poll today has Joe Biden's approval rating at 39%. Congressman, great having you back on. Let us know if you do hear anything from the White House. I don't expect them to answer this letter, but if they do, be sure to let us know. Congressman Greg Murphy, good to see you. Thank you. Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.